Why isn't Eve at the dinner table yet? She usually comes to dinner as soon as I call her.
Ruby Franke was a YouTube star, a mom who put herself, her family, and her parenting techniques on the internet for the world to see on her 8 Passengers channel. And millions watched. She gained many fans, but as her popularity grew, so did her number of critics who did not agree with her parenting skills. Then, her YouTube channel disappeared, and then drama surrounding her family blew up. The status of her marriage came into question, and her children started growing up into adulthood. Then things got drastically real for Ruby as she was arrested on child abuse charges. Tonight, we take a look at the rise and fall of Ruby Franke, bring in our experts to take a look at her parenting techniques, and examine the impact on the children of growing up publicly on YouTube as we investigate the case against 8 Passengers star Ruby Franke. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you with us. This hour is going to be fascinating because this is a world that exists that I don't know if everyone knows exists. And what I'm talking about is the world of these YouTube families, and that's who 8 Passengers were. It was a YouTube family. It was a mom and a dad, started out with some cell phone cameras, recording themselves, living life, and then posting it online. And in the beginning, you know, it began probably a little bit more innocently, and then as things grew and developed, things changed. Now, this whole world of YouTube families, like anything else, when it first starts out, the wholesome families can become very popular, right? But then as YouTube continues and this whole genre continues, you know, the general public might get a little bored with, you know, normal things happening to normal families. And the things that start to gain attention and interest are things that are off the beaten path a little bit, you know, a little more extreme. And I think that's what happened here with Ruby Franke and her family, and the way these videos evolved and what they were showing the world. Because once you have that taste, and I think I know what they're talking about because I've gotten that taste doing shows on television through the years. And like, oh, the audience is responding to this. Let's do more of that. Let's push the envelope a little bit. Let's be a little more extreme. Let's get a little more attention. Let's get more followers, more likes. Let's break through the white noise. And I think that's what happened here. And for Ruby Franke, I think it was a lot about her controversial parenting. And it was the way she interacted with her kids. Now, I think it was genuine. I don't think she was putting on an act. Like, this was real reality more than like a reality show, which is, as we've learned through the years, like totally scripted, right? So what you're watching when you're watching reality is just like, you know, bad actors doing improv, right? But this was much more real. And her techniques, some people said, yeah, this is good, this works. And it's working for your family, Ruby, this is great. And others were a little more critical about some of her techniques. And things, the more you grow, the more attention you get, the hotter that spotlight gets. And everyone's looking at you. And things got to the point of being extreme, that just based upon things she was posting to the world as, this is how I take care of my kids, this is how I treat them, this is how I discipline them, etc. As a result of her own videos that she's putting out there, there were some investigations. Now, nothing resulted from these investigations, but then things got really bad and all the controversy, and boom, it exploded, right? It blew up. Like, the YouTube channel disappeared, and then all of a sudden, there's some family drama taking place. It seems that mom and dad became separated and started living separately. The YouTube channel was gone, but she was continuing with her parenting techniques. She got a business partner and was doing like podcasting. And then things took another turn, right? So let's remember what we're talking about. Like a mom, what do they call them? Momfluencers, right? So a mom who's like on social media, posting videos, giving tips about how she does what she does, and getting sponsors and making money, real money here. This isn't chump change. I mean, when you've got more than 2 million followers, subscribers on YouTube, and you're getting millions of views for every video you post, you're making stay at home, this is my full-time job, I'm gonna feed my kids with this, if you feed them, I'm gonna feed my kids with this money, kind of money. All right, so this is real, this is the real deal. But then it took a turn, right? So the YouTube channel's gone, all that revenue's gone, she's doing the podcast. And then she gets arrested. She gets arrested for child abuse. For child abuse. It was shocking on one hand, but not so shocking on another hand, because people who were familiar with her. I didn't know her before this story broke, because I'm not watching these types of videos necessarily, but millions of people are. And some of them were disappointed, some were shocked, and some were like, oh, it's about time. So tonight we're going to focus on what was going on here and look at her parenting techniques, what it's like for the kids to grow up as the subjects on YouTube, talking about all the things that they were talking about. But first, Scripps News Salt Lake City has the background on what happened to Ruby.
Without bail and behind bars sits a woman who once freely roamed around her home, filming her family in front of up to 2.3 million subscribers. Ruby Franke, known as a momfluencer, documented the life of her husband and 6 children in southern Utah in her YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, which was taken down earlier this year. Come Wednesday, she resurfaced in the public eye when one of her children escaped through a window and knocked on a neighbor's door, requesting food and water. I got a hold of the police statement, which I'm holding right here. It says when the child arrived at the neighbor's home, the child had duct tape around his wrists and ankles. The neighbor immediately called police, and officers say when they arrived, that child had open wounds and was so malnourished, they immediately transported him to the hospital. Officers would later find another child in the same home, that home belonging to Franke's business partner, Jodi Hildebrandt, who had a parent counseling service called Connections. She was arrested as well.
90% of the time when a child is hurt, it's by someone that they know and love.
Director of Prevent Child Abuse Utah, Laurie Ann Thorpe, says it's a tough reality to realize that abusers are often relatives or someone close to a family. Franke's oldest daughter, Sherry Franke, who is 20 years old, posted to her public Instagram today a photo of police with the caption, "Finally." She added another story saying, "Me and my family are so glad justice is being served. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up. Kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Please keep them in your prayers and also respect their privacy."
I think it's really important to understand that children on average will disclose abuse 3 times before they get help or before they're believed. So it's really on us as adults who may be receiving this information to trust that a child is not making this up.
As of now, 4 children have been taken into custody of Child and Family Services. In Salt Lake City, Lucy Nelson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And some may argue that, I mean, this alleged abuse was in plain sight. I mean, on YouTube. So let's take a look at the family here and break down exactly what was going on here. Now, 8 Passengers was the name of the show that they had on YouTube, the channel, and that's because there's 2 parents and 6 children. So you got mom Ruby, dad Kevin, 2 sons. One is 18, he's an adult now, he's grown up. One is 12, and 4 daughters. One of them is 20, again an adult, 16, 14, and 10. So you've got 2 adults. So the 4 minors are the ones that have been taken into child care custody. Now, Ruby's sister, Bonnie, posted this about the arrest and the allegations. None of them could have seen this coming. She says they all did this as much as they could legally. She feels numb at this point, and only concern is that her nieces and nephews are safe, which they are. Let's take a listen.
I don't think any of us could have ever seen this coming. We all did as much as we could legally, and you don't know what you don't know. I do feel a little bit numb at this point. The only thing that we ultimately care about is that our nieces and nephews are safe, and they are.
Okay, now take a look at what they're saying on Instagram. For the last 3 years, we've kept quiet on the subject of our sister, Ruby Franke, for the sake of her children. Behind the public scene, we've done everything we could to try to make sure the kids were safe. We wouldn't feel right about moving forward with regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jodi was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are safe now, which is the #1 priority. So it seems like her sisters are also in the social media game, talking about content, posting, etc. This story is something else. I'm going to need some help now to work our way through the rest of this. Joining us tonight in Los Angeles, California, senior reporter for thedailymail.com, host of the Daily Mail Crime on TikTok, and a victim advocate for Project Cold Case, Caitlin Becker. Caitlin, great to see you. For folks not familiar with this genre, this is extremely popular, isn't it? These moms, particularly, who kind of put their families on social media and, you know, come up with tips and ideas and kind of show a little bit of what's happening with their own family.
It's wildly popular on both YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. Pretty much every social media outlet has this cadre of momfluencers, and you can find every type of mom and every type of parent. So if you find one that resonates with you or a group that resonates with you, you tend to go and follow them and sort of ignore the others. What Ruby promoted was very harsh, very strict parenting. Based on the videos that I've seen, it felt sadistic at times. It felt like a lot of bullying. And from very early on, these types, pretty much all momfluencers who put their children on, there is a group of critics who have a problem with the exploitation of these children being filmed without their consent and being profited off of without their consent. But the Ruby issue goes a step further because she was mean at times to her children. She would use very strict, very harsh techniques that were hard to watch. And to think that this is what was going on in front of the camera, I always wondered what was going on behind closed doors, because what you put out on social media is rarely ever what your real life is like. It's always a little bit better. So it scares me to think of what could have been happening behind closed doors, which I think is what we're getting to see now.
Yeah, a little bit better. But would you agree with my assessment that when you compare what Ruby and other moms are doing on social media is a little closer to reality than we would get in any reality show? Like, this is like a little bit more raw.
Absolutely, because they're the ones in control. When you're talking about something like a reality show, you're dealing with a network, you're dealing with executive producers, you're dealing with an entire team. This is content that she was self-producing. So she controlled what people saw, and what people saw was a strict mom who would sometimes use threats and punishments like taking away basic necessities, punishing her one son by taking away his bed and making him sleep on a beanbag for several months because he teased his brother, punishing her daughter at 6 years old for forgetting to pack her own lunch at school, going hungry, refusing to go to school and give her lunch so she could be hungry and learn the lesson that she wouldn't forget to pack her lunch again. This child was 6 years old. And these aren't allegations. These are things that Ruby herself produced content on and put on her social media that her 2 million followers were liking, subscribing, and watching.
Now, the children, obviously children grow, and children grow up. Children become young adults. And she has 2 of her children that are young adults. Like her daughter's basically been kind of separating herself and kind of got herself out of that house.
That's exactly right. Vinny, earlier when you were mentioning the sort of group of people responding to Ruby's arrest saying, okay, what a relief, we were waiting for this to happen. Her eldest child, Sherry, her daughter, was one of those people. She posted on social media that she knew that this was happening and they had been trying to get CPS and police involved, and was just happy that it was finally done. From what I understand, Sherry does not have a relationship or any communication with her mother. And now, thankfully, these 4 minor children are out of the care of Ruby.
Now, when they were posting videos, mom and dad were in the videos that I've seen, right? I've seen clips of some, I've seen others, and it seems like mom and dad are together. Obviously, mom is really steering the whole ship, but there's problem in the household, right? Mom and dad separated from one another.
It does appear that they are not together anymore, but for some time, I mean, 8 passengers should tell you all you need to know as to whether or not the dad was involved, at least at the onset, because he was one of those 8 passengers, which was the title of the YouTube channel. But when this all went down, the arrest did not happen in Ruby's home. She was staying with Jodi, and in statements that her husband Kevin has made, he said through his attorney that he had no idea this kind of abuse was going on. Had he would have intervened or stepped in, and that Ruby had taken the children and gone away for the summer. So it didn't appear that they had an intimate relationship, at least as early as the summer.
And she's with this other woman. Is that like that's her business partner, her podcast partner? Do we know anything about the business that they were running and how they were trying to make money? Because the YouTube channel was taken down.
So the YouTube channel was taken down recently, but it basically went defunct in January of 2022. That is when Ruby stopped producing her own content. But around the same time, she started appearing on this Connections Classroom YouTube page, which was run by Jodi. So she and Jodi kind of partnered, and they talk a lot about, it was essentially like a mental health teachable lessons. I did not glean any sort of teachable lessons from anything that they said, but Jodi similarly promoted the type of parenting that Ruby did. So she just started creating content with Jodi on that page. And actually, Vinny, they produced content on this Connections YouTube channel as recently as the days before they were both arrested. And they posted the content from Jodi's home. And investigators actually used that YouTube video to show these 2 adults were in the home where these children one child had escaped from, and the other one was still being allegedly neglected. So they actually used that content to prove that they were in the home and at least should have been aware of what was going on. And since the arrest, both pages have been taken off YouTube.
And so both her and her business partner, friend, whatever their relationship is, they're both in trouble for what happened here. And I mean, this child had to escape to find food from a neighbor. And I mean, living in beautiful homes, right, in a beautiful part of the country. Obviously, they have some money, and it makes you wonder if this was part of the parenting or the punishment for a child that didn't do something.
It's exactly what I'm wondering. These are beautiful homes. You can see that they do have a certain amount of money with all those YouTube subscribers. You know she was making a decent amount. This does not appear to be a case where the family lived in a food desert or where there was food insecurity for these children. It looks like, if the allegations are true, this was purposefully done. You have a 12-year-old boy who, at 12 years old, you're aware of exactly what's going on in your life, allegedly escaping out of Jodi Hildebrandt's home, going to a neighbor, as you said, asking for food and water. And it was that neighbor that saw not only was this child emaciated, but he had open wounds on his body that investigators say were from being restrained by ropes, as well as duct tape on his extremities. And when investigators came, they found their 10-year-old Eve in the same or similar condition. Both children were taken into emergency care. So it doesn't seem like this family didn't have enough to eat, particularly when you add in the restraints and the duct tape.
And I'm wondering, you know, when they first started and posted that first little home video, if they just got a taste of it and then just kept pushing the envelope, and then something in their heads just went, and all of a sudden they're off the rails, and these kids are potentially in danger. Caitlin Becker, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vinny.
All right, folks, we're going to talk more now. When we come back, we'll bring us some experts and talk about this parenting style, and we'll show you some examples of what we're talking about that she was posting on the internet. Plus, coming up next hour. In Westchester, Pennsylvania, the latest in the search for an escaped killer. He climbed his way out of prison, has been spotted in neighbors' yards. How desperate is this killer?
At 8:51 a.m., Cavalcante escapes from the prison, having crab walked up a wall, push his way through a razor wire, run across a roof, scale another fence, and push his way through more razor wire. At 9:45 a.m., officers on Cavalcante's block notify Central Control of a missing inmate.
Bradley Caraway,
charged with murder and leaving the scene of an accident.
Trapped underneath 3,000 pounds
of mangled Honda.
The Fled the Scene murder trial. Live coverage weekdays at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
I'm trying to make it sound beautiful and it's not working.
You have been waiting for 2 years for today.
Welcome to my recital. I've been working on the songs for
once a year on Thanksgiving, I want to at least see you in a half-decent shirt. That's not his school uniform. And you look handsome. And he doesn't want it to be recorded. Helping Grandma in the kitchen. Getting ready for our big feast. Sherry turned 16 in March, and she is
Not ready for her shirt.
Okay, Sherry, come here.
Sherry, are you looking more forward to dating or driving?
I get the feeling that you are more like the typical poster child for the dad who is mean to the boys as they come to pick up the daughter.
Mean.
Now that she's turning 16 this spring, I'm like, oh my word, you really are emotionally ready.
See you guys later.
One thing I noticed in the 8 passengers video that we saw, none of the kids were smiling, by the way. You know, it could just be a certain moment. They weren't smiling in any of those moments. It was really strange. She's in trouble now. Let me read for you from the probable cause affidavit what Ruby Franke has been arrested for. Child abuse. RF, which are the initials of the victim here, 12-year-old male, climbed out of the window of an Ivins residence belonging to Jodi Hildebrandt and ran to a neighbor's home. RF knocked on the door, requesting food and water. The neighbor observed duct tape on RF's ankles and wrists and contacted law enforcement. Upon arrival, law enforcement observed the wounds and the malnourishment of RF to be severe and was transported to the St. George Regional Hospital. RF was placed on a medical hold due to his deep lacerations from being tied up with rope and from his malnourishment. This observation adds to Ms. Franke, the mother of RF, being present in the home and having knowledge of the abuse, malnourishment, and neglect. Child abuse victim EF, 10 years old, female, was found at Jodi Hildebrandt's residence after RF made contact with police. EF was found to be malnourished and initially refused medical. After approximately 4 hours, EF agreed. Jodi Hildebrandt was found to be in direct care of EF. EF was determined to be malnourished by a medical professional upon arrival at the St. George Regional Hospital. With this information and belief that Ms. Franke had knowledge of malnourishment, abuse, and neglect, this charge will be enhanced to a second-degree felony. I ask that Ms. Franke not be allowed bail due to the severity of the injuries and the fact that DCFS has taken 4 of Ms. Franke's children into their custody. Wow. Let's bring in our experts. Joining us tonight in Los Angeles, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert, witness, and columnist, Dr. Carol Lieberman, and in Orlando, Florida, psychotherapist and CEO for Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. Great to have you both here. What we just read, obviously all of that, if it turns out to be true, is not okay. We know that. What I want to go through with both of you are some of the things that were actually posted on the internet as parenting techniques by Ruby Franke, which I guess she believed was fine. I'd like to have your take on it. First, I'm going to begin, and this has been deleted from the 8 Passengers YouTube page, but she was punishing her 15-year-old son for pranking his younger brother, and that teenager not allowed to sleep in his bedroom for 7 months. This is her explanation that she posted for it. In our house, when we take something away, it's because they have shown that they are not responsible enough to manage it. So we don't just turn it around and give it back as soon as they start acting good. It has to be consistent over a minimum of 6 months. And that's showing it consistently in every aspect of their life. Okay, Dr. Carol Lieberman, what do you think of that technique? They do something wrong, there's a punishment, but it's got to last some time because they've got to really learn.
Well, first of all, this is a warning to people to not take advice from people on YouTube and TikTok and all of that, because anybody can set themselves up as an expert. You know, clearly a lot of the people who watch her must be looking for an excuse to be sadistic to their children, to be able to be punitive, to be able to be abusive to their children. Oh, look, that's what that's what she said on YouTube. I have to do this too. I should copy that. And really, I mean, that's a very scary thought, that it's not just her and her children, but she probably has caused other families to be acting in these similar ways.
All right, Dr. Jodi Lacey, let's take a look at this clip. This is about doing chores.
So we've got, what does this mean?
Get dressed.
Get dressed. Did you get dressed? What does this mean?
Brush your teeth.
Did you brush your teeth?
Yes.
Make your bed. Oh, did you make your bed? Oh, this looks awful.
Okay, is that innocent enough? Is that a good technique, bad technique? What are your thoughts, Dr. Jodi?
When it comes to parenting, we want to first think about what is the intention, right? So if the intention in this clip is to teach her young daughter responsibility and to create that checklist, and then to have that conversation with her daughter to make sure those items are checked, that's all great and fine. But what happens when her daughter does not fulfill those things on the checklist, right? From a healthy parenting standpoint, these things are to teach lessons, to teach life skills, to teach responsibility, and the energy and the lessons learned matter in these cases versus it being punitive and having things taken away as a punishment if you're not doing these skills and these things that should be taught in a positive light when we look at parenting skills as good enough and imparting these skills to your kids. So we want to consider the intention. So this clip in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's everything else that we take along with it is what matters.
I've got another clip. Here she is talking about healthy eating with her sons.
I am so proud of Chad. This entire summer, it's been like 3 days. The entire summer, for 3 days, Chad has just stayed offline, off the computer, off video games, and he's really trying really hard to be healthy and to stay outside with friends and get fresh air. And I'm just really proud of him.
Cindy.
I thought you boys were gonna be eating healthy today.
Well, we did work out.
All right, Dr. Carol Lieberman.
Last minute, it seemed like it was too good to be true, right? She's praising him. Then there's the donuts. Those kids must have been so scared because how their mother just turns on them, how they can, be doing a lot of things right, and yet there's one thing, she'll always find the thing that they did wrong, and not only punish them harshly, but embarrass them in front of the whole world. You have to wonder what kind of parenting, what kind of childhood she had, because clearly she was abused in some way, at least emotionally abused, or she wouldn't be doing this.
Final one I have for you here is this one, again, let me just play it because I don't want to spoil it, but I can't believe it. Take a listen.
Torturing him. Stop it. I know you're not, but it looks like you are. Okay, Russell. I'm only going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
You're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner, Dr. Jodi Lacey.
This clip was heartbreaking because you're seeing two boys in and of themselves being boys, being kids, laughing, joking around, connecting, right? So in and of itself, what we're seeing is healthy for these boys to do that. And then for a mom to punish by taking away a basic need of food is truly an unhealthy parenting skill. There's no way to say that. It was abusive. We can almost say that can be abusive if you're withholding food for a child not listening and they're actually having fun when we're watching this video.
And now where we are, like this was years ago, right? But now where we are, she's being charged. The kids were malnourished, so maybe she followed up on this eating privileges. Unbelievable. Dr. Carol Lieberman, Dr. Janie Lacey, great to have you on tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Benny.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about growing up on social media. What's it like for the kids? Is it right? Is it wrong? It's very controversial.
Bradley Caraway,
charged with murder and leaving the scene of an accident.
Trapped underneath 3,000 pounds of mangled Honda.
The Fled the Scene murder trial. Live coverage weekdays at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
Take a look, folks. This is the front page of the now taken down 8 Passengers YouTube page. And if you look closely, you'll see 2.28 million subscribers. But look at who's on the cover of all these videos you're clicking. It's the kids, it's not the parents. Laughing gas, packing day, dorm room shopping, picking up Dwight, sick in Mexico, unexpected friend, the numbing. It's about the kids. The page is about the kids. So there are a lot of comments online about 8 Passengers and Ruby Franke's parenting style. Check out this clip from Swoop on YouTube.
Now, Ruby seems to structure her entire parenting style around using the vlog to trap her children in conversations they sure look like they'd rather have off camera. I mean, sometimes they literally say that. Often she's asked by her children to stop filming, and when she does get them on camera, it's clear that they're uncomfortable sharing how they feel with hundreds of thousands of people, no matter how Ruby tries to cut around it.
I'm gonna get down on your level. I've noticed that you've been hiding from me, and you are feeling a lot of embarrassment and shame.
That's a good taste of what this channel was about. A lot of this channel was about. Joining us now from Oswego, New York, founder and CEO of Leverage with Media, public relations influencer and expert, Lauren Cobella joins us. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us tonight. What are your thoughts?
Thanks.
About this parenting and kids growing up and the kids really being the focus of this YouTube page?
Yeah, you know, it's such a sad story. And, you know, I'm a mom of 4 myself. And before starting my PR agency, I actually was an influencer. I was an influencer and YouTuber for over 15 years. And, you know, I got to a point with my children that they didn't want to be on camera anymore, and they felt like it wasn't a choice. And so when I'm looking at this and, you know, I'm watching these kids as they're exploited, like when was it their choice to be able to be on camera? Were they making any money? And, you know, there's a lot of things that come into place here, you know, when we're talking about laws and, you know, child labor laws and of that. But when do the kids get to choose? And I know for me as a mom, I got to that point, which is why I stepped away from it, where my kids didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And these children didn't seem like they really had an option to back out, right? It was all about them.
It really is. I mean, you look at all of the videos and the way she's trying to get people to click on it. You're looking at these kids in somewhat awkward positions. It's tough growing up, and like you said, they don't have a choice. And you brought up another interesting point, which is there are all these laws that protect child actors, right? That protect their money and protect them from what they do have to do and can't do, and the limitations. but this new world that we have that really isn't that new. I mean, you said you were doing it for a long time. This world is not brand new. It seems like hasn't really caught up to what can happen and how children can be used. Like, if they made hundreds of thousands of dollars from this, it would seem that there should be some socked away for the kids if they were the subjects of all of this.
Right, exactly. And actually, we just saw our law passed, the first law passed earlier last month in the state of Illinois, where now we're seeing protection, and we're seeing that the laws are saying that, you know, a certain percentage of the income from YouTube earnings or influencer earnings have to be put in a trust fund for the children. And I think that for kids, that's a really integral part. But one of the biggest things that I want to take note of here is, you know, I have 4 kids. My oldest just graduated high school, and I was doing this since he was 4 years old. And it got to a point when he turned 14 where he asked me, after he found some of his friends watching some of his old YouTube videos that were on my channel, laughing and making fun of him, he asked me, "Mom, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Please stop posting my pictures on social media. Please stop talking about me. Please stop posting videos of me." And so I had to give him that choice. You know, our kids deserve the ability to say, I don't want to be a part of this. And, you know, the clip that we showed, it just pure exploitation of him, embarrassment. And, you know, I think about like all these child actors, you know, like Miley Cyrus and Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears, you know, that grew up before influencer was a thing, and how we've seen that affect their life. How is this going to affect these children? You know, they can't even tell if like their mom's acting or real. And, you know, I had to check that in myself as well. And yes, I have some great videos to look back on when my kids are little, but at what cost? And I think, you know, as I represent people, you know, that are influencers, what cost do we give our kids the rights to say, I'm done? No, I don't want to be a part of this.
What was that moment like for you as a mother?
We need to give our kids that.
What was that moment like for you as a mother when your son said that to you? Was that, did you not consider that, think about that? Was that like a light bulb moment?
It definitely was a light bulb moment for me. I think once I realized that his friends were turning on YouTube and searching for him and watching his old videos, and he was embarrassed, I felt like I had failed him. I felt like I had not. And, you know, this was like when he was like 6, 7, 8, 9. And even my daughters, you know, from the time my youngest is 10 now, she was on when she was like, you know, a newborn. And you lose almost the reality of like, what's really going on here? What are the priorities here? Is it fame? You know, I'm walking, you know, she's walking her camera through her house, and like, you know, it just opens up predators to like even seeing like what's inside your home, you know, where are your kids' clothes at? Like it opens up so much to predators even, you know, looking at it. But yeah, like it was a huge humbling moment for me as a parent to be like, okay, I need to like ask my children if they're okay with this, because this affects them. This will follow them the rest of their life. And they need to be able to be okay with this, but also they need to be able, if I'm making money off of this, they need to be able to make money off of it too, and be able to, you know, have that money set aside, especially with these, you know, she had 2 million plus followers. Yeah. She's making a lot of money. What are the kids seeing?
Lauren, thank you so much for sharing your story and your insight into all this. It's really valuable. Appreciate it.